You are now checking out
the Win Podcast,
where the everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.
Well, my name is Oscar Manuel Salazar. I go and by Oscar Manuel, and I'm an actor. I'm a dance instructor, dance teacher, and I say instructor because I teach ballroom and Latin as well. So I'm a certified ballroom and Latin teacher, and a dance major from Columbia College. So I'm a dance teacher for the styles of jazz, Latin jazz, theater, musical theater, and the Latin. And that includes, of course, the cha-chas, the salsa, the bachata.
So I know salsa and the music was a huge part of your life. I want to go from the beginning of when it first connected to you and the family. What did that bring to your life?
Well, you know, Puerto Ricans. I'm born and raised in Puerto Rico. My moms would be listening to music, and you know how Puerto Ricans are very humorous. Mm-hmm. So if there's lyrics of the song that relate to something that just happened, or somebody, or a characteristic of the character, you know, or you're listening to a Gran Combo singing, you know, the song of El Menú, and then you're talking to your guests saying like, pa' fuera, pa' la calle, you know, aquí hay caballeros, señores, lo que no hay son acentos. So they're also typical humorous lines that are very cultural and attached to everybody, you know, to all Puerto Ricans, Cubans for their Cuban music as well. You know, so I guess it started through humor because I'm a very humoristic person. I'm very comedic. Like, my mom used to take me to television shows to do impersonations of singers. You know, so I would do Cuando el amor se acaba y no hay más pasión. I would do, you know, Jose Feliciano. I would do like oh my God. I would do Jose. I would do Manuel. And, you know, it was all with a comedic twist. It was always had a comedic twist. And I guess the music took me in that experience through the comedic rhythm because of my mom and my family would be, you know, quoting lines of salsa. Yeah. And then that brings you to the ear and be like, wait, let me listen to this. And then you will ask questions. And then you see them dancing. And then everything is happiness when you hear a salsa. Although the lyric might be sad. Or the lyric might be of you know, you're heartbroken, or you're getting drunk because your woman left you, or you have no money to survive in society, or whichever the lyric is. You know.
So it seems like for you, it was the joy that it brought and the comedic humor.
Yeah.
When did the passion, because I would assume now you're getting older, you're understanding the lyrics and maybe can relate to certain things.
Yeah.
When did it start
Before the salsa, the music, well, if we go, music has been my love. So music, when I went to an elementary school what's called Christian day school. So you can start imagining.
Yeah.
Una escuela cristiana, a Christian school, chapel in the morning, chapel at noon, you know, the choir, the Christmas plays. So then Oscar is always in the office, you know, go to the office. Why? Because you can't behave. You're always hyperactive. You're always making jokes. You're always this. So let's put him into theater. Let's put him to sing. Let's put him to dance. And eventually, that's what controlled my craziness. So but now I'm performing, before all this salsa stuff, I'm performing, you know, Ode to Joy, you know, Christmas stuff. Yeah. You know, I'm singing with the choir, having solos. I'm being main character for 2-3 years in a row in the Christmas musical plays in elementary school. And that opened that window to music and to that art, anything that has to do with music, whether it's singing, whether it's dancing. So then the salsa came with a meaning that I was familiar with, because American music, of course, I didn't relate, if you know my saying. You know, then when I start paying attention to everything that's around me, which is the salsa, the cha-cha, the guaguancó, you know, all that stuff, and I'm listening to the lyrics, and I can relate to it through my family. Now it's another wide opener, and I go, okay, salsa, bachata, Latin dances, great. So I enrolled in Dance Academy, but I was taking jazz, tap, ballet, And
what was it about dancing that you connected so much to? Because it seems like there was a motivation. Yeah, it opened up a whole new world to you where
I
you
could
be-
understand it. I had rhythm. For some reason, I'm very rhythmical. I have great rhythm. I'm walking down the street and sometimes people stare at me because somebody's gonna fall and I just move in a way that, oh shoot, how did he do that? I just, and this is happening before I even started dancing, kind of. You know, I've always had good rhythm and yeah, that the comedic side of it, making my family laugh throughout the whole bad times. You would take food stamps. My mom and dad divorced when I was young. My dad's from Peru, which brought another side of salsa music to my life when I started realizing that.
What's the difference? Because
Because Peruvians, South America, you get more of Oscar de Leon, you get more from Venezuela, you get more from Panama, you get more from Colombia. You know, plus you get all the Puerto Rican salsa and the romantic salsa that was hitting the radio back in the 70s, when my late 60s, when my dad started traveling and going to Puerto Rico. I was born in 73, so that was a great eye-opener, because now I'm not just listening to what my mom's listened to, all this, you know, Puerto Rican singers and Puerto Rican bands. I'm not only listening to a Gran Combo, I'm not only listening to El Cano Estremera, I'm not only listening to La Típica 73, I'm not only listening to Luis Perico Ortiz, but now I'm listening to Oscar de Leon, now I'm listening to Rubén Blades, now I'm listening to, you know, Adolescente, later in the future, you know. So, yeah, and I understand it. I understand music and rhythm so much that I don't have a great voice. I don't consider myself to have a great singing voice, but I started auditioning for merengue groups.
When did you realize that I want to do this for like the rest of my life, whether it pays or not? Or
Right there, when I just told you now what I left it in those merengue bands. When I started auditioning for, I wanted to be in the 90s. Merengue was big in Puerto Rico. You had merengue everywhere. You had merengue, los bailables de merengue, which were the dance parties of merengue that you had 5-6 bands, and it was $10-15 to get in, and you see a lineup of 7 or 8 bands, a lot of them similar, a lot of them different, but a lot of them with energy that is great. And I used to go to dance to the shows, and I'm standing in the audience and I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, ooh, he tripped, oh, he didn't get that step was off, and I'm making my own notes. I'm like, wait, you can do this. So I started auditioning. I became a groupie. To meet the people and the producers. And eventually I got my shot in an audition. And my first band that I was a backup singer was Cesar Flores, the Dominican singer who was residing in Puerto Rico when he did his third production. I think it was called Opus 3. And he's the singer who sang Quise ser paloma y poder volar. Quise ser tus noches y tu despertar. Un amante de novela, un rayito de mi arena. And the chorus said, salvaje. So it was a big hit back in the 90s, 1991 or 92, I think, or 93. And that's when it started. And then I'm feeling now live music behind me. I'm feeling 13 musicians in sync. And I'm putting my little sand in there by being the dancer and the backup singer.
Mentally, where are you when you feel? Because I know what it is to perform, and you have that adrenaline, and you're in another world. And one thing that I always connected to was the musicians and the singers that when they connect, you can't. When it's live,
it's a transferable energy. It transfers. And it's contagious. If you're a musician and I'm a singer and I start going like you're gonna start moving like you're moving right now, or you're gonna start giving me la clave, or you're gonna start so it's transferable. If you feel it and if you know about it, it's gonna happen. It clicks. Now when I started, I was a bag of nerves. My first show, I was in the bathroom when they were introducing the band, and I was there on the fourth bar of 8 or something like that. The intro had gone in already, And I'm walking late, and he took the advantage of me being late. He goes like, "Oh, my new dance, my new el nuevo integrante, my new dancer, singer dancer, Oscar Salazar." I was all nervous for nothing. Like some things that happen, and then you learn how to improvise or how to get out of it. And eventually, the experience of doing that for so many years, which I was doing it for 6 or 7 years, not with just one band, but multiple bands, because I had the ability to pick up the dances in one day in no time.
What helped you to, because as performers and artists, everyone will feel those. I always looked at it now as not nervousness, is you're excited. I learned to look at that as free energy that you can use on stage. But it took me a while to
control it.
Control it and not connect the negative to it. Because society will say, you're nervous. But no, that's excitement. Because you're about to do something great. Yeah. How did you learn to control it or, overcome those things? Is there a difference of nervousness and before you're about to go on, you're like, I'm about to do it?
I was bullied at the beginning. I mean, the sound engineers will lower the volume of my bike. Because they think I sounded nasally or I sounded weird, and I'm doing a first voice, and and they're like, oh. And for a while I was very offended, and I was very insecure, because obviously I never took dancing lessons. I was doing my harmonies via ear. I would go to rehearsals with the band, the live band, and the backups were there, and then we will have to adjust our vocals, and obviously there were more experienced vocalists there and people that had more experience than me, so they'll assign me, they'll hear me, they'll get my range, and they'll say, okay, I think you're good in this area, how do you feel, what do you feel, and assign me a voice, and that's how it starts, no? And you start developing that confidence. So the first 3 or 4 months, mic down, and then I started getting upset. And it was wrong because it was me. I had to get my stuff together and do it
take
right.
Responsibility. Yeah,
and do it right. So I started paying $75 a week in that time to take singing lessons with Marisa Aleman, which is a studio recording artist in Puerto Rico, pretty famous. She was teaching, at the moment, teaching Jerry Rivera's sister. So she was coming in on Thursdays right before my lesson. Nice. So I used to see her come out. Sanet, what's her name? She had a 1 or 2 hits back in the 90s.
For the people that are jealous that they wasn't old enough to experience, because I always say I wish I was experiencing salsa in the 70s, but here's I wish I can go back and just see that. And in the 90s was another generation of the merengue and salsa again. Yeah. Describe that era for you to be alive and witness and then participate in those awesome musical moments, even as a dancer and singer. Describe the scene, if we can go back to that.
Well, I was very young. Like I said, born in 73. I think I was gaining conscious of all that by the time I was 6, 7 years old. But then my mom remarried. So my mom divorced my dad. My mom remarried this Guaynabito guy from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, but old school dude. He has 2 left feet, but he knows all the phrasing of all the big band salsas, and I guess he was a big influence to my stepdad, because he used to go back in time. So we're talking 77, and we're in my grandmother's house, meaning my stepdad's mom house. And then he gets there and he starts getting his LPs and playing his old stuff, which is different from what my mom plays. Because my mom was a little bit more American too. My mom was a little bit more towards the twist and Chuck Berry, is it? All those people and the swing and all that stuff. She liked her, and that's where the influence of big band mixes with my salsa. The big band from my mom, and then all these hits from my stepdad, my South American hits from my dad, and then that's where everything kind of binded. So what was I? I was probably 73, 75, 77, 78. It's when I started kind of like living that. And then my dad was playing hits that were older. Hits that when you play them in the tape, because it was tape back in that time for me. 78 was tapes, and when he played it, you can hear the of the recording.
Yeah.
And for instance, you would listen to El Gran Combo en Navidad with those songs that were very old, like you know, like Pachanga, Bugaloo. So that Pachanga, Bugaloo came from my stepdad. And he was playing in the 70s, playing early 70s, late 60s music that was big band, just going into the transformation of what we call salsa now.
You were like a sponge, right, to all this styles and musical taste. How did you, I guess, learn how to put that all in a pot and figure out how to use it for you into your style and stuff like that? How did you learn how to incorporate that? Because it didn't seem like you like maybe a couple styles. You was like, no, I listened to it all and then incorporated.
That's right.
And pulled it out when it was necessary. Right. So how did you learn how to?
I have not spoken about my affection towards soul. Soul, gospel. So remember, I grew up in a Christian school where we had choir. So we had our little soul too, you know. We had our little jamming sessions in church, you know. So if I wouldn't have gone to college to do a dance major, I would have probably married with one style, and right now not be able to hear what you just said about being a sponge and using it all. The technical education and then the live experience with musicians and has provided me with different ways of explaining myself in my classes, demonstrating, getting a little bit of a hippity hop move from here and a little pachanga move from here and a little Afro-Cuban move from here and putting it there and putting it here. So I mix and match. I don't wanna become one specific thing, because salsa is a salsa of all those things. So I want to be able to. I recognize them in the music and I express them.
What is so important to you as a teacher that you want to make sure that you teach your students before they enter and by the time that they leave and go into that world now? What is so important to you, the tools that you give them, that you learned, that you probably would have learned earlier? And
so when I always start a class, I cannot start a class unless I have an understanding unless I understand where my people are musically. So my classes always start, the first classes of a course always starts in a circle, listening to three different styles of salsa, maybe, if we're tackling salsa, and just marking the beat and listening to it and going around and asking, what do you hear? Some people hear the bass. Some people hear the maraca. Some people hear the palitos. And some people hear the bass. Some people hear different things. So it is so important, because having fun in the salsa it goes with the music. Doesn't stop to tell you, okay, your next step, please. The music don't go donkey donkey dong. Are you ready to step? Go. Okay, pa-para. No, they don't do that. So it's such a high when you're actually doing it to the rhythm and you're enjoying it and you feel how the song it's growing and that crescendo, and then you feel that magical moment of the backups and the back and forth, or the soneo, or the improvisation, the riffing, and then you're just in bliss, you know. So my importance and my tool will be that. My tool is nothing physical. My tool is me. Because what's in this head is going to allow you and tell you and teach you in a way that you're going to understand, so you can do it. If I have to use 10 metaphors for one single move, I use them. Because I've lived enough to use different metaphors and know that you're going to understand it. You know, I get to know my students. What do? I'm an engineer. So you deal with lines. You deal with angles. So I can talk to you and tell you you're going to do a forward step, then a right step, and a 90-degree angle. And you understand that you're picturing in your head the trail, and you understand it. You know, but not because I knew what to do. So my most important part is that, connecting people to the music.
How do you deal with students that sometimes may feel defeated and their fear and insecurity is probably one of the biggest things that's in their way? And I think like I shared
Everybody.
this with you.
We did. We spoke about it.
I said, look, I love the music, man. I know there's rhythm in there. When I get tipsy, I see it, right? But I have this fear and insecurity of just doing it. And you shared with me, it's like, well, it began by like, I was born here. And he was like, did you ever someone used to come and pick you up to parties and just dance? Like, no. Or by the time I did see them, I was like, oh man, he's good. I don't want no one to laugh at me. But you said growing up, everyone danced with. There was a touch. It all began with the touch.
With a touch. Hold my hand.
Yeah, hold my hand and have fun.
So you never had grandma hold your hand and twirl you around like if you were doing a spin?
I remember there was a couple times. Yeah.
Okay, so over here it is common, but in Puerto Rico it's more common. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest party in Puerto Rico if you go to a family party? Dominoes, beers, and music. And the barbecue or the food, right? That's it. Yep. You don't need anything else. These people are playing dominoes, listening to salsa. I lost the game. I'm going to stand up and dance with my wife. Is the food ready? Oh, talk about our sons and our nieces and our cousins and everybody. See how they're doing in life. But it always came down to music binding us. Music connecting us. Because music, like I said before, I don't know if it was here or in the show before, music is, especially salsa, is about those moments that you remember. You hear a song and you say, whoa, that song reminds me of this person or of this time or of this era, and that's very personal, which brings me to the next subject, which is you're talking about the fears, insecurities.
Because I was going to say, not to cut you off, sorry about that, but to say that I know you had those moments where you see yourself in them, where they used to maybe in a way bully you or didn't believe in you. Mm-hmm. So I know you learned from that and promised yourself that I'm not going to be that teacher. I'm going to be the teacher that I wish I probably had all the time. So in those moments when you see yourself in them, what do you do to help
when I
them?
see as a teacher and see my students with those insecurities? I'm glad you hit this because it's a very mental state. And with that, I want to use the word personalized. Mm-hmm. Your dance is yours, personalized. So whether you step with your feet very fast or whether your feet are a little lazy but you step on the beat, whether you tap the dance or step on it, whether you progress the step or you're doing it in place, it's your style. And the good thing about salsa is that you could be a very slow kind of tapping and moving around but not really moving your feet a lot, but worrying about the lady in your hands and leading them. And the lady is doing all this crazy stuff with her feet and their turns, but it still looks good. It's your style. It's your personalized style. It's you understand the rhythm. You're tapping on your 1, you're tapping on your 5, or if you're dancing in clave, you're tapping on your 1 or you're tapping on your 5. But you know then the next step where it's going or where you're going, you have a communication with your partner. So I don't pressure you to do a forward step, back step, side step. No, you're doing it wrong. As long as you're actually stepping on it, and then I'll show you to do it and adapt it to your style in a way that it'll get you to the next place. Because like I said, salsa is yours. It's the way you dance salsa. It's personalized. Now you tell me you're in a group of jazz performers that perform Broadway jazz or something. You have to be on point.
Yeah, that's different.
You can't have, well, I wanted to bring my shoulders up and shimmy up.
Yeah.
No, well, you can't shimmy in the middle of a Broadway routine. You can't. So that's more technical. That's more performance-wise. Salsa is more social. It has been commercialized to being more performing, which is great. But what I'm teaching is not that. I'm teaching salsa for the people like you, the people that tell me, I have always wanted that and I'm insecure. So what do? I have to break them. Psychologically, I have to tell you, you have been moving the way you're moving for all the years of your life. And now I'm asking you to move differently. I know it's going to take time, but you have to be aware yourself that you have to allow yourself, this teacher got to break me. And he's going to be tough on me for a couple of first times, telling me, no, look up. No, you're doing it wrong. No. But then when you dare and you get your security, you're like, oh, look at that. I did it without thinking. Or I tell my students a lot, you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Look where you're going. It's gonna take you. Blah blah blah. It's. I have this down, bro, because I've been around so much, and I've worked in different places. You know, I've taught salsa in Ireland, where people basic style, they don't. Their center is connected. They have no isolation in their waist and torso because their Irish dancing is straight. I've taught dance salsa in Spain, which you got the flamenco, so you have advantages that they have rumba, flamenca, which has the same rhythm. You know, they have similar rhythms that they can abide by, but their posture is completely different, and they dance more on their heels because they're zapateando, they're doing the tap. So they're not standing, they're not dancing on the ball of their feet like a Latin dance should be danced. Because you're grounded. It comes from the floor up, right? This Latin music. So you're grounded on the floor. But you're leaning on the ball of your feet so you can allow yourself to pivot and manage yourself lightly on the ball of your feet, which is the one that makes you move, not the heel. Yeah. So, you know, taking from Spain, taking from Ireland, taking from 14-year-old kids that I used to teach in Chicago when I used to do my dance major, taking from New York, taking from senior citizens, it's not senior citizens, older people, 45 up. I've taught workshops for 45 and up for Latin jazz, you know, and I take from here and from there.
When you look back on pretty much so much that you have done, so much that I would say like in a short span of time, you know, even from young until where you're at now, when you look back on all that, you know, what sticks out to you? What have you learned about yourself through all those years of going through it? And I remember you mentioned that the support from the family wasn't there, so there had to be a strong motivation which you shared. So when you look back, man, like, what did you learn about yourself through all this?
Well, the reason I stuck to it is because it got me out away from my house, actually. Now, Mom was supporting, but by then she already she was married to my stepdad. My dad was picking me up on the weekends, and he had nothing to do with my artistic growings. I mean, my dad denied me $350 to take a weekend workshop when I was 14, so I can audition so I could go to casting call workshop, which lasted from Friday to Sunday in Puerto Rico for big talent agencies in LA and New York. And I was 14, and I already was telling my dad, I want to do this. Because these people with my talent, they're going to fly me out there, and I'm going to do something about it. And that was the first door that shut in my face. You know, my dad telling me no. You know, buy it yourself. I said, dude, I already got $200. All I need is 100 and something. He said no. That was a real crusher for me, but at the same time, it was it was a lesson. So when I started at 18, I'm singing with the merengue bands, but I got my passport. I'm already traveling at 18. I'm already going to Nicaragua. I'm already going to all places in South America, Dominican Republic. I'm already performing with this merengue and salsa bands outside of Puerto Rico. So the things I'm learning, and it took me away from my house. It took me away from that little neighborhood where nobody did anything and everybody stayed doing the same thing. You know, my grandma got very sick my grandma died when I was 13, but she spent 3 years in deterioration. So since I was 10, she was sick. She was in mental hospitals. That's another story. It's a really big story, but so I would be hanging out after school alone because my mom would be taking care of her. So the neighborhood was the neighborhood watch, watching me. Did you eat? Did you do your homework? You take a shower. Come, take a shower. Here's a towel. All the neighbors, you know. So when I was going to elementary school and going through all this grandma stuff, music was also a refuge. So I think all these little things, you know, just brought me into this escape.
Music, but it seems like not only it was one of your homes, it was an escape, but it was a family. It was
the only people. It provided a family that I could relate to because I have a Peruvian father that doesn't like me lighting candles.
Yeah, relate and rely because the music will always be there. You're in control, pressing play, and the rhythm is already in you. So you turn that off and on. Yeah. So whenever you was looking at it, you was in control of it. Yeah. So it was that family that you needed and wanted, and it supplied that.
So I've always felt like an outcast, you know, an outcast because I had so many layers to myself,
right?
That nobody could figure me out. in to this point of day, I'm 46 years old, and my theater people in the Latin theater community don't actually know how good of a teacher or dance performer I am, or my knowledge or my achievements. And if they know, nobody has actually taken advantage of it, because let me tell you, there's a lot of work out there for people like me. I've choreographed comedy scenes for Latin theater. I've directed Latin musical theater productions.
Why? I want to ask you a question. Why does that bother you? It seems like the approval that you would like to get from the world and society and people. And
it is normal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I was gonna get there. Of course, it is a normal thing of like, wow, you would like someone to take notice. I've been doing this for so long. Blah blah blah. I should have the awards. I should have this. But I think the biggest person you proved, right, Oscar, was yourself.
It's myself. That's why I'm not worried.
You proved to yourself so many times. You came from a small town, and I just want to, you got my approval, but I want to let you know
I
that
grew up in Puerto Nuevo.
For a long time, you proved to yourself, and you overcame so many things, and continue to dance and continue to take those lessons. Now teaching and giving to other people.
Now giving back.
And giving back. You don't even need someone to say he's great, he's good, because when you look in the mirror and you really look back on everything you did, the music and yourself, the person looking back, has been there for you throughout. Yeah. And you are the biggest person that you prove to yourself.
Thank you.
You are the underdog that overcame so many.
And that's why one of the reasons why, I had an accident in 2013. I was living in New York. I've been here since 2005, and I go back to Puerto Rico because I was in the middle of a good streak in the theater community, and I just came back from a tour with Gloria Estefan, 90-mile tour in 2010. I just got a Latin Ace Revelation Actor of the Year in 2011. 2012, I'm still doing productions in Spanish, helping out, being here and there. But I still felt incomplete because they were projects I was doing because I wanted to show them, I guess, what I could do, rather than I'm doing it because I believe in this project or whatnot. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So I tackled it in a different way, and it kind of hit me with a hammer back, because one moment I say, you know what? I'm gonna go back home. I'm gonna meditate on what I want to do. And I go back home, and since I have a little accident, I fall, I break my ligament on my right shoulder. I go to surgery, and recuperation is 2.5 years. So now Oscar cannot dance. Oscar cannot be in a theater production. Oscar can barely write with his left hand.
So now the world and everything is kind of like stopped and taken away from you.
It stopped. It stopped for 2.5 years. It stopped. I couldn't take a proper shower because I couldn't move my arm, because if I move it, I interfere with the process of regeneration of my ligament that was replaced from a dead man's body.
Yep.
So
what did you do? What helped you in those moments to
planning all this, planning my comeback, planning how I'm gonna do things my way, how I'm gonna actually not take no for an answer, or just make people clear, no, I'm not here to compete with nobody. I'm not here to compete with nobody, to be honest with you, and it's something that at some point in the career of an artist, whether you're an actor, a singer, a dancer, you get worried a lot of what either people say or what your image out there is. And it's okay. It's okay, because all these people that are famous now have some uncovered truths that come out, and then you're like, so they didn't worry when they were going at it. Why should you? Be yourself. So I'm trying to be myself. And like I said, I do a lot of things. And another thing I wanted to say, not a lot of people don't like people that do a lot of things. They think their opinion is stick to one, so you could be successful at that one. Yeah.
They feel intimidated, or they think this person is full of himself.
Not only that, but I think it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper to a sense of, you're proving to me that you cannot stick with one thing. And that doesn't look good in any job application, in any casting, in any, but if you see my resume, I have to divide it by theater, musical theater, music, dance, film, television. When you see the resume, you'll be like, really? I made it in a nice way where it's tolerable. You can
Right,
read it. You get, but it's a lot of info. You know, I have a big paragraph of skills. You know, and it says basketball, softball, swimming. Because I've been in all this. Water sports. I've been in all that stuff. Karate, gymnastics, dance. Like you said, I've been expunged to everything related to art, to music, to movement.
What is it going to take for you to feel complete? Because you said there's some things that is incomplete in certain parts of your life.
Yeah.
So what is it going to take for you to feel complete in a sense that like you realize, okay, I'm doing this for the joy and love and the passion, but I'm good. I'm happy of all that I've done.
Well, my job right now is establish a name in producing events and producing events and the reason why I'm saying producing events is because I have to take my own initiative. And we met today by me taking an initiative and going to propose this new project, and it's coming along. I got a project in dance that's coming. I have one that's coming next week. I have one that's coming in January, but I also have a theater production. I just want people to know that I'm not just a dancer. I am not just an actor. I am somebody that has my own ideas, have my own visions. I am very passionate of what I do, but my epiphany when I was sick was you have to open your own performing arts center. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I will say it again because it seems like a trend. Fuck what people think. Fuck if they don't know about Oscar. The people that know about Oscar is sufficient.
I don't mind about that.
And the people are going to know you even more because at the end of the day, you know about Oscar. You have been writing this Oscar book since day one. So it doesn't matter if they come or they don't. The people who are meant to know you will know you.
That's right. So this is my epiphany. So I came up with my epiphany was, okay, I want to have a center where I can incorporate theater and I can incorporate dance, and I can not only use it for artists, but for people that want to rehabilitate themselves through art. So whether it's a physical condition that you have, a mental condition, or even if you have problems with the law, maybe the government can help out and bring these programs once a week or once a month to take lessons in my center. So I came up with PAC, P-A-C-C, Performing Arts Community Center. Welcome to the PAC.
I was going to ask you real quick, when you was in that dark moment and had the surgery and you couldn't dance and the things that you love you couldn't do, you did say planning brought you joy, but what was something else that replaced the dancing besides the planning? I think there had to be something else that was hearing the music, or that was like a tease. Like,
it's just funny that you say, because in all the 2 years and a half that I was at home recuperating with that big thing and I couldn't move, so I posted some photos on social media. People knew what was going on, but then I was kind of consulting. I have this friend of mine who's a singer-songwriter. She was recording her musical video in Puerto Rico at the moment. She's from New York. So she calls me. She's like, Oscar, I need your production skills and I need a cameraman. And I said, listen, you haven't seen the media, social media? I'm hurt. I'm at home I'm on drugs. I can't do anything. Do you believe that she's like, okay, I'm staying with you? So she stayed with me. She helped me. She cooked for me. And I had to help her with her project. So even with my shoulder like that, I was recording voiceovers I have a cousin who's a DJ.
Nice.
So
there was other
things, yes.
Thank
God, all the tools that I have. That's where they came in handy. And I say, okay, so mind you that when I was in Puerto Rico and I was 3 years with my surgery recuperating, I took the advantage of doing a cosmetology degree because my mom's a hairstylist. I was dating a hairstylist for a while back in 2007, and we ended up doing business together, and I learned a lot more. Well, I come from the business background because of my dad. He has auto parts, but working with this girl, and I had no license at the moment, and I was like, well, you know what? It kind of stayed with me. My dream was always have PAC, but have like a lower level with a hair salon,
Yes.
you know. And if I have spaces like dance studios and stuff, I can assign somebody to take care of the kids while mommy is taking care of her nails and stuff and doing her hair. You know what I mean? So it's my dream is big, you know, of what I want. But it's all these experiences and these tools, like you say. So it was supposed to take me 1.5 years to do my cosmetology degree. I had the accident. I had to stop. So then when I'm ready, I go back and I retake my other half. So I finished it.
Yeah.
I finished it. But I had things that I was distracting myself with, you know, and in the back of the head was all this planning about pack, how are you going to tackle it, how are you going to focus it, and I've always, I'm a helper, man. I'm a sucker for helping people. You know, I see you with a sad face, I want to make you laugh. So I say, well, my dancing, my theater, my goal would be focusing on rehabilitation, you know, whether it's mental or physical.
So, Oscar, we got to know you, and I want to say thank you for so much that you shared today.
Thank you, man.
So
I haven't
inspiring.
talked about all this. My timeline is a little crazy now, too.
But it's fine. We got one more segment that I want to do. We usually have 2 segments, but this was like so off guard that I wasn't prepared for the second segment. I was like, you know what? I want to get to know you now. So, but this first segment, I do have it down because I remember. It's called Let's Look Inside, right? And there's 2 questions for that segment. The first question is, what in life is beautiful to you?
Humanity, and I'm pretty frustrated that we're losing it.
The second question is, if we can pump the brakes on your life right now, what is something you could pay more attention to in your life?
Myself.
You are now checking out
The Win Podcast,
where everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.